please don't tell me you're watching the news. If you are, hopefully this video convinces you to stop watching the news and to actually consume better content. Now, if you are the kind of person I think you are, you're someone who, doesn't really like the ways of the modern world, and has realized that sort of being an average guy in the modern world is not fulfilling, makes you unhappy. You want to be separate. You want to be different from the rest of the world. I've always wanted to be different. I never wanted to be part of the masses, part of the 99%. I always wanted to be very different from other people, but unfortunately it sucked because it was very alienating. And not only was it alienating, but it's very hard, and a lot of people are going to look at you and a lot of people are going to make fun of you because you're different. But you just have to embrace that, and you just have to stick to what you're actually doing and say to yourself, no, this is the right path. I'm actually going to do this for a reason. Now, recently I spent a bit of time with my family overseas, and my grandparents, they always watch the news in the evening, right? And it was kind of funny because I watch it, right? But I can literally watch it now and not let it influence my brain at all. And subconsciously, it's obviously going to influence me a little bit, but I can watch it to the point where I basically just kind of ignore what's on it, or just kind of laugh at it and go make fun of it. And what I find funny is you could go to I'm going to take the example of Donald Trump, right? I think Donald Trump's an absolute genius. If you can convince a nation with the kind of ideas he has, right, to vote for you, then you're a genius. You've obviously done something right along the way. The funny thing about him, right, and that no one's really talking about, is the fact that the reason he's popular and the reason he's actually successful is because the entire world talks about him, right? If the entire world didn't give a rat's ass about him and just stopped talking about him, the guy, no one would even care, right? The reason so many people care about him, I think, is because they're literally giving Donald Trump what he wants by talking about him so much. I guarantee you go to any country in the world, right? There would be a news headline about him. I guarantee you that for a fact, right? And that tells you something. That tells you more about the rest of the world than it does about Donald Trump himself, right? That tells you that the rest of the world are kind of just pawns sitting back, and that they're looking at what he does, right? And all they can do is sort of sit there and criticize, right? I'm giving the guy praise because of the fact that the rest of the world criticize him. That to me tells him he's done something right. To me tells me that he's done something right, right? And it tells me that for him, the reason he's so famous and the reason he's successful and he does what he does is because people talk about him. He wants people to talk about him, right? And the more people talk about him, the more they're giving him attention, the more they're giving him what he wants. If the world stopped giving him attention, right, the guy would stop and he would slow down what he's doing. But the reason he's not is because the rest of the world is literally giving him a reaction and giving him exactly what he wants. He's basically raging the rest of the world by what he's doing and by what he's saying, right? But that actually makes him more popular because it gives him more success. Yes, he's got to get a lot of haters, but he's also going to get a lot of people that actually quite like him and quite like the way he's doing things, right? The more you consume the news, to go back to what I was saying, the more you're going to give into that, and the more you're going to give into what the world actually wants, right? The less you consume the news and the less, you sort of read social media, look at social media, all that sort of stuff, you're going to become more authentically true to yourself, right? And less to what the world wants. You're not going to be brainwashed by things in the world, right? You're going to make your own opinions on the world, and it's going to make you happier, genuinely. Right, I made a video on the news earlier. The reason why I don't watch the news is because it makes people unhappy, right? My example of my grandparents, they're just sitting there on the radio going, oh, this guy's an idiot, Donald Trump's an idiot, blah, 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 right? That's literally what the news does. If you didn't watch the news, you wouldn't give a shit. You'd be happy. You'd go, whatever. Yes, I know there's going to be people watching this, My own family would make the argument against me that you got to be informed of the world and things like that. But that's coming from a perspective of the news, right? I'd rather inform myself based on actually going out on the street, seeing what I see, based on what people around me are doing. Right? I don't want to inform myself based on some media company that's making a fuck ton of money from it. Like, fuck that. I'm literally giving them money by consuming the news. Right? I don't want to do that. I'd rather invest in my own journey, right? And invest in my own development as a man and as a person in today's world, right? So this is what watching the news is literally going to do to you. It literally makes you dumber, like objectively. You might think it's smart and intelligent and all that to talk politics, but it's not. It's literally going to slow you down in whatever your goals are. And Donald Trump is literally feeding into that because he's an absolute genius. And he's going to keep doing what he does because of that, right? Because all he's doing is baiting the rest of the world into wanting to hate him. And that's what actually gives him more success in the long term. So please don't watch the news. Please don't give into the random arguments of the modern world that you should watch the news. Invest your journey into something that's actually matters for you, right? Something educational, something that matters for you long term. All right, thanks for watching the video.